Greetings and welcome to Learning Outside the Box Chronicles, a podcast hosted by myself, Coach Sakile, the proud co founder of Embrace Your Free. So, with over 2 decades of homeschooling experience, I've had the honor of assisting over 7,000 families in their homeschooling and world schooling paths. And I'm also the operator of the Empowering Black Homeschoolers Unite community. Also, as an author of 10 books dedicated to overcoming obstacles in homeschooling and offering valuable guidance along with a plethora of resources. Make sure, family, that you stay until the end of the podcast for a very special treat, a free copy of my latest book that provides the A to Z steps on getting started with homeschooling or leveling up your homeschooling journey. So don't miss out on this opportunity to embark on a rewarding educational journey. So, in this podcast, we celebrate the diversity and creativity of Black homeschoolers like yourself, showcasing a variety of stories from families who have found their unique path to success. So, homeschooling is all about learning outside of the box, rejecting the one size fits all approach to education. So, through interviews and conversations, we aim to answer your burning questions about homeschooling and to provide inspiration and ideas for your own journey. So, whether you're a Black family curious about homeschooling or just simply seeking guidance from experienced homeschoolers, this podcast is the right place for you. So join us on this exciting adventure as we explore the world of Black homeschooling one story at a time. So, together, we will change the status quo, expand our horizons, and embrace the endless possibilities of homeschooling outside the box. So, without further ado, let's embark on this thrilling voyage of learning outside the box, the Homeschooling Chronicles. So, get ready to challenge the norm, broaden your perspective, and embrace the limitless potential of homeschooling outside the box. And now it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Tré. Tré is a passionate homeschool mom of three and devoted wife. As a founder of Homegrown Homeschoolers Inc., Tré has dedicated herself to unveiling the true potential of homeschooling as a getaway to unparalleled freedom and a transformative learning experience. So, her fearless journey has empowered her to conquer the challenges of socialization and establish a vibrant homeschool co op that unites families in their pursuit of educational excellence. With 7 years of embracing unschooling, Tré has not only paved a path of freedom and self discovery for her own family, but she has also impacted countless others. So, in this live session, Tré will generously share her triumphs, challenges, and the secrets to creating a thriving homeschool environment that nurtures individuality and ignites a profound love for learning. So, get ready to be captivated by her profound wisdom as she unveils the true power of homeschooling for personal growth and unleashes its potential for transformative education. So let's give a warm welcome to the one and only amazing Tré. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Sakile. I'm
You're
honored to be
welcome.
here with you today. Um, it's my privilege. I love you. You know, you and I, we hang out, we're friends, so I'm excited to be here and to talk with everyone today.
Yes. So it's amazing to have you. So let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit like where you're located, where this homeschooling takes place, and the ages of your children.
Well, I've been homeschooling for 7 years. I have three beautiful daughters. They are 12, 15, and 17. Just graduated my 17-year-old, so we're excited about that. Big things happening. We're actually in Hempstead, Texas. So we're not too far out. We do all of our like co-op and different things like that out of Cyprus, but we live in Hempstead.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about what inspired you to begin this amazing unschool homeschool journey.
Oh, well, you know, it was something that my husband and I spoke about, like when we first started talking about having children, was, me being home, being their influence. We kind of understood that early on that we didn't really want someone else to be their main influence and we have them for a few hours at night. But of course, at that time I was young and I, was telling myself I'm not smart enough, I'm not educated enough, I don't have the patience to be with my kids all day, all of those things that you tell yourself. But I did decide to stay home with my children because, we factored how much it was going to cost in childcare versus, me going to work. I was like, I'm going to work just to pay for childcare. So I might as well stay home. So I stayed home with my children all the way up until my youngest one was school age. And then I decided that I wanted to go try to find out in what I could do in the educational field so that I could have the same, hours and days off as my children. So I got hired on in the educational public school system as secretary for administrators is what I did. I worked behind the scenes in administration. I worked for elementary as well as high school. And it's just in working in the environment and really getting hands on behind the scenes, being able to see how it really works, what's really going on in the schools, solidified for me that was not the place that I wanted my children to be. I did not want that influence to be what I wanted to be the influence. I wanted my husband and I to be able to speak into their lives, to be their influence. It was not a good culture in the public
Mm,
school.
wow. Amazing. So tell me a little bit about when you did decide to start unschool, well, like to homeschool your children. Like what made you dive into the unschooling, which is more child-led education?
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. When we first started homeschooling, I first put my kids out. I did what most people do. I set up a room, had the board, what do you call it, the dry erase board. I had a schedule. We're going to go to school from Monday through Thursday from 8 to 12, and we're going to do math and science, and which is essentially recreating the public school. And we were all miserable that first year. It just wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't what any of us were anticipating. And so I started really kind of studying, which I had studied it before, but I really started digging in and trying to see how can I give my children the best experience. And I decided to deschool. So we took off a good summer and probably some more. And we just traveled. We just went to different places, and I would have them study like different things about the place we were going to go. So if we were going to go to Corpus Christi, hey, let's do research on Corpus Christi. Let's just see what Corpus Christi is all about. Where we want to go. What are we going to do? Um, and because it was something that they were excited about, they would get so involved in it and so in depth with their studies on that particular place that when we got there, it just made it all the better. And they were so intrigued with everything because they knew about it. They understood when they would see. One of the trips we did was Arizona, and they studied everything about Arizona: the flag, the state flower, the tree, the bird, all those different things. And so when we got there and they saw a road runner, and they were like, "Oh, there's a road runner. Oh, there's the state tree," and they were so excited about it. So what it really helped me to see was, one, how my children learn. I always suggest to my new moms now, figure out how your child learns, because then once you can see how they learn, then you can kind of tap into better how to assist them. Um, so I started seeing that they enjoy, first of all, focusing on things that they want to do. When they're doing what they want to do, they learn it, they remember it. And they started really just digging into stuff. My oldest daughter would always come to me with these, did you know? Did you know? Did you know this, mom? Did you know that? And it would just amaze me how much she knew and why she was even looking into that stuff. Like, why is that even interesting to you? And she just like, oh, one of her little sayings was interesting factoid. This is an interesting factoid, mom. And so I just really started seeing it when I kind of let go of the box, of being in the box and trying to fit the standard, and just kind of gave them more freedom. They just grew and developed their interest in everything. They just got so much more excited about learning. So I decided, hey, maybe this is the best route for us, for me to just kind of unschool and let them follow their dreams, their passions, their interests. And when I did that, it just became an amazing thing for our family.
That's awesome. 'Cause I know we work together also doing the
Hmm.
different assessments. So, did
Yeah.
that help you also?
It
Like,
did. I mean, Sakila, when you gave that information on how to test their learning skills, and with our homeschool skill, what is it, the homeschool, like which factor
the
we fit into,
personality and stuff.
personality,
Mhm.
like that helped me so much to, because if you have a child who is more of a hands-on learner, they have to do things to learn, but you're standing there lecturing all day, they're not gonna get it. Like I'm that kind of person. Like you can tell me all day long what I'm supposed to do, but until I'm actually seeing someone do it and doing it myself, it doesn't stick. And my children are like that as well. And so once I started saying, you know what, they wanted to go to Korea. They
Mm,
wanted to go to Ghana. So I said, research it. Do give me a whole Canva experience of what that
okay.
would look like. And they did it. And so recently, we just went to Ghana. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. So we went to Ghana, and before we went, they had done research. And actually, they all looked into different countries because we were going to decide which country we went, which one impressed us the most. So they did a thorough study on Rwanda, on Tanzania, on Zimbabwe, and on Ghana. And Ghana won out, and so we went to Ghana.
I
And
love
when
it.
we got there, they were so like it was such an experience because they knew a lot about Ghana already. It was almost like you experienced it before you experienced it. And
Love that.
it's a trip that they say they'll never forget. It really helped them to tap into who they are and appreciate where they've come from. So it's a great experience when you can take your hands off and stop trying to control it, and then just let them lead you. And you'll learn so much from them in the process. I learned so much from my
Absolutely.
kids.
Wow. So it's just taking the experiential learning to the next level, the way that you just laid it all out and how you do
Absolutely.
it. That's really amazing and beautiful. And I love how you just shared how your children were saying that these are experiences that they'll never forget. So I'm sure
Hmm.
they've changed and they've grown, and you've grown as a family. So
Right.
that's really, really powerful. Can you share with me like some of the perks of homeschooling that you've noticed for yourself and your family?
I would say the number one is freedom.
Mm,
We have the freedom to come and go as we please. We're not on anybody else's time schedule. I mean, of course, my husband, sometimes he has to kind of plan his time because he works. But me and the girls, we come and go as we please. Like, we plan trips, and we always go in the season where everybody else. We went to Disneyland a couple of years, Disney World a couple of years ago, and we went right after school started.
mm,
So we could go, and we were getting in line, out, going on the ride, getting out, getting back. I mean, like we just had that freedom to be able to do that. We love going to places in the middle of the day when everybody else is at school. And we don't have to beat the crowds and stuff like that. And so it's just been freedom to explore, freedom to do, come and go as we please, freedom to learn what we want to learn. Like we don't have to sit up and learn all of this, like who won the Alamo, who cares? Um, you know, like, okay, fine. If that's something that my kids are interested in, learning history and different things like that, then all the way we're going to do all the things. We're going to go to, the Alamo and different things like that. But if that's not their interest, then I'm not going to sit up and waste a lot of time trying to get information into them that has no relevance and won't do anything for them in their life. And so
absolutely.
And so I love having that kind of freedom where we don't have to take a lot of time on a bunch of fluff information that's going to be pointless going forward.
Exactly. And the great thing is, like you were saying, it can be experiential. So, like for instance, you were mentioning the Alamo. So you're in Texas. If you did want to learn, you could just drive up to San
Just
Antonio
we're
and
just gonna
actually
go.
and you can actually be there, experience it, and then your
Exactly.
children actually have a
And we've
motivation
done that.
to
Yeah, we've done that.
yes. I love that. So that is
It's better
powerful.
than reading it in a book. Right.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times they have enactments and all kind of
Hmm.
stuff that just helps you sink it in on a deeper level.
Right.
So that's powerful. So we talked about a lot of the benefits and the perks. Can you tell me about some of the obstacles you faced when you first entered homeschooling? You mentioned the traditional homeschooling where basically recreated the classroom at home. Were there any obstacles
Mhm.
other obstacles you faced, and can you share how you were able to overcome them?
I would say that the probably the biggest two obstacles that I faced was one, not having this support and understanding from family and friends. Of course, everybody's going to think you're crazy and what are you doing? And you're going to hurt the kids and they need to have friends and they need to socialize, all those common things that us homeschoolers have to hear. So that was like the biggest challenge. But my husband and I have always been the kind of people that we don't care what you say or think. This is our life and we're going to live it, to the best of our ability. We are never going to put our children in harm's way. There's nothing we're ever going to do that we're not thoroughly going to research and be clear about what we're doing before we do it. And I think that it just took time for some of our family and friends to trust that in us, that we're going to do the best for them. And now they champion us. So they see that it works, right? And then I think the second thing was that after probably a year of us homeschooling, my children loved homeschooling because, like I said, homeschool is not being at home. Like we were always gone, we were always on the go doing things, and they absolutely loved that. But they were missing having friends.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of like where I made a decision that, well, if you want friends, and mom's going to find friends for you. Um, and so I started off with like a meetup and kind of put it out there like, hey, I'm a homeschooler in this side of town. Anybody interested in getting together for a play date? And I think I got, maybe two or three people that seemed like they were serious about it. And we started just kind of going on some little field trips and outings with each other. And then we said, let's start a Facebook page and see if there's other people out there. Because for us, when we first started homeschooling, I did all those things. I joined, Texas Homeschool Coalition. I joined the little co-ops that were in the area and different things like that. But when we got there, no one looked like us. We didn't feel received. We didn't feel seen, or wanted to be there. My children didn't enjoy themselves, so it was really a waste of time and money because you had to pay membership fees, and they didn't want to go because none of the children were trying to come and introduce themselves or talk to them or anything like that. And so I was very determined to find them friends that looked like them, that were sharing in this experience. And, it was kind of unheard of when we started for Black people to be homeschooling. Like, what?
Hmm.
Who does that? That's crazy. And so I just kind of made it a goal to, find them. I was like, they got to be out here somewhere. So we, started a Facebook page, and I started meeting people and going to the homeschool conventions. And when I would go to the homeschool conventions, I'm telling you, when I would see a Black person, I'd be like beeline to them, like, hey, you're homeschooling too, and we would just make those connections. And our Facebook page turned into, something really big and special. And so then we decided to start having co-ops at our local community center where we would come together, and it was parent led. It is parent led. We would teach our children different things based on whatever the passion was of the parent. If we have a parent that absolutely loves to garden and grow food and medicinal herbs, and that's what she's teaching, and our kids are learning that, um, And so we have all those different types of things, and it's just been a great experience. What was a challenge has become an amazing experience for us.
Yes, I love how you turn that obstacle into an amazing opportunity, not just for yourself and your family, but for so many other, Black homeschooling families. So that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. You saw a need and you created a niche and have
Right.
helped so many other families. So I love that so much.
Thank
Can you
you.
tell me a little bit about how you were able to finance your homeschooling journey over the last 7 years?
Yes, so homegrown homeschoolers has been around for 7 years, and for a long time we were just homegrown homeschoolers. Well, now we're Homegrown Homeschoolers Incorporated because the end of 2022, what year is this? 21. We started a nonprofit 501c3, and so now that has really taken us to another level because in the beginning, when we were just a group of moms who were getting together, when we would go on those field trips and things, we would have to come out of pocket to pay for our field trips or any events. Everybody would have to pool money together to do certain things. And it could be a hardship financially on a lot of us. As homeschoolers, a lot of us are coming from, one single income. You may have multiple children. As homeschoolers like to have a bunch of kids. Um, and so, it was a financial hardship. And a lot of times, you would have to turn down an opportunity to go somewhere just because of the finances. So I really wanted to create a space where we could fund those field trips and those activities and events for our families without them having to come out of their pocket. So I started the nonprofit, and now, everything we do is done by donations and grants and investors and sponsorships. And so we do have to hustle. We have to get out there and do the fundraisers. We just finished a cookie dough fundraiser. We had a car wash a couple of weeks ago. We have to do those things to raise the money, and I'm constantly looking for grants and applying for grants, and so that's been a huge help. And this past semester, no family had to pay for a field trip, and we're taking 20-25 children on field trips and to amazing places, and no family had to pay for that. No family had to pay for our events and our parties and any of that. And so now our goal, we have our teen group that we're planning to take to Costa Rica next year. And our hope and prayer is that we can send every last one of our teens to Costa Rica without expense to their parent.
Wow,
And all that's done through the donations.
that's powerful. I love that so much. Can you tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about if someone wanted to start, a non-for-profit, the different steps they would take to do what you're doing to start a co-op and, can you tell us a little bit about the inside?
absolutely. Yeah. It took a lot of research. I had no clue. I didn't know what I was doing. So, with some help from some moms and kind of putting our heads together, we kind of started doing some research and trying to see, how would I even classify? Um, and so as a homeschool, we classified as like a private school or charter school.
Mm,
And so when you do that and you're applying, that's how you label yourself as a private school. I actually followed a lady. She's the homeschool CPA is her name on on Facebook and different things like that, the homeschool CPA. And she actually had a webinar that you pay for that shows you exactly how to sign up for your nonprofit. I literally followed exactly what she had on there and just changed, for my information. I sent in my application. Within the next month or so, we were approved. Um, and now we send out letters, and we have our website set up and different things like that help us to um, pull in those funds, those donations and stuff. And a lot of people are a little more willing to donate when they know that it's a tax write-off. So
absolutely.
yeah, and that's how you lead, right? Like, this is a tax write-off. You can write this off. So whether that's investing their time, like if it's a company or a business, um, if they have an art school or, whatever it is, if they're investing their time, they can write that off. If it's money, we just had our end of the year awards and graduation celebration, and we got sponsors from Olive Garden and Tiff's Treats and Nothing But Cake. They donated to us for our
Wow.
party. So that helps out so much financially for our group. And of course, we're always posting and trying to get help from our community to, to donate to us. Any little bit helps. We're doing a fundraiser calendar right now where you have 31 days in a month. You pick the day, and that's how much you donate, right? So if you pick the 5th of the month, you only donate $5. And we do a bingo every 15th of the month where you could win a $50 Visa card. So you may have donated only $5, but you could possibly win that $50 Visa card. So we're always doing little things to try to help boost our income. But, our ultimate goal is to be able to sustain ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. That is really, really powerful. So, can you tell me, like, as a busy mom like yourself, how are you able to balance all of this, the responsibility of homeschooling, running the co-op, being a wife, running your house, like writing these grants, all of this? How are you able to juggle it all?
An amazing team. I am not doing it by myself. I have an amazing team of moms who see the vision, who are dedicated, who they, one of the things I believe in manifesting. And I just began to, after hiccups and some bumps in the road, and, maybe people who weren't necessarily on the same page with you in the vision or whatever, I started asking and manifesting that some people would come along that would be a help to homegrown and not a hindrance, that had a vision, who could bring their skills and talents to homegrown. And that's exactly what we got. And it just amazes me every day, the people that are part of our group and that are wanting to join our group. The team of moms that I have, my admins, they're amazing. Like, they kick in every time we're on the phone. They're taking notes. Like, we don't want to forget what we're saying, and they're sending me the notes that we took, and they're sending me reminders like, Trey, don't forget we need to do this. And they're just really all in, and they're helping me. And so I appreciate them. Shout out to my admins, my team. I love them dearly, and I couldn't do it without them.
Nice. So you mentioned you were able to manifest this amazing team. Were there certain actions that you took to attract these people? Are these like the parents that are also part of the co-op?
Yes, they are my parents. I mean, they, open registration and they just came in. They came in, and I began to express, where I wanted it to go and what I would like things to look like. And they saw that, and then their vision, some of their visions go even way beyond what I was even envisioning. And so now, we're like, hey, well, let's just go all the way with this. So our goal now is to open our own building, our own school here on my property, where we can teach our children sustainable agriculture and raise their own animals and their food. And so we're working towards that now. And we have amazing parents that we didn't even realize that are electricians
Ah,
and construction workers and contract workers and interior design and landscaping. So all of these people, until we started talking about it, we didn't even know. And
mm,
so we're like, hey, with all of this that we have, we can come together as a community. And that, I think, is the biggest thing that is so lacking with Black people, is community. Because
mm.
when we work together, then we can do anything. And so it's just all of us coming together now and saying, hey, we can make this an amazing thing, not just for our children, but for the children after our children.
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
powerful vision and mission that you have. And I love how you're able, just because of, again, one obstacle of
Hmm.
like, my children don't have any friends, and
Right.
how it's expanded to this phenomenal,
Yeah.
just
So they have friends
Absolutely.
and I have friends. We all,
Yes.
everybody has friends. Dad has friends because we have amazing fathers in our group. We're breaking down stereotypes, like that. Our dads, they're here, they're involved, they teach, they do all of it. And so we just really have an amazing group where everybody's just boots on the ground in there making it work. Our graduates, they graduate, they come back, they're teaching. Like it's just an amazing thing. I'm just so excited about what's happening.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. And it just sounds like I'm sure many family members will be wanting to reach out to you because this sounds like an amazing like system that like you said you started it but it's giving back and it's like a
Hmm.
win-win for everybody from the
Yeah.
children to the parents to the skills that you're probably learning too from the
Yeah.
other parents and then something that can be passed on generationally and the children are coming back. That is just amazing and I love it
Yes.
to show that we
Yes.
can work together. We
We
can,
can.
like they're just
Yes.
saying, like a fist is much stronger than individual
Then
fingers.
one
Like we come
finger.
together. Yes. Like this is like powerful.
Hmm.
So yes. So can you tell me a little bit about how, like, if family members wanted to get in contact with you, ask questions or support your cause, leave donations, how would they get in contact with you?
Yes, ma'am. So we are on every social media platform. Um, let's see, homegrowneveryday.com is our website. And then you can find us at HGH all day underscore every day on Instagram and TikTok. We have a YouTube page. All of this can be on the website. If you go to the website, you'll find all of our
Okay. When we
all
be
of
on
our
the
social
website.
media links. Yes. And you can email me at everydayhomegrown@gmail.com. Um, I'm always available. You email me, you call me, I'm here. I just want to support. I want to mentor. I want to help every, Black child who wants to be great, help them to get to that greatness and not be in a box and told, you can't do or you can only do this much. But you can do whatever you put your mind to, like lean into your passions and go for it. And I just want to take away the fears and the anxieties that the parents have that they're not smart enough or that they can't do it. It's a lie. We're their first teachers. We have been teaching our children since they came out of the womb. Before they even went to public school, we taught them their ABCs and how to tie their shoes. And so just tap back into that and just continue to learn who your child is, and teach them, in a way that's going to help them to be the best that they can be.
I love that. So, and I agree, we are our child's first teacher. So, I have
Hmm.
another question to piggyback off of that. So, of course, there are things that we can teach our children, and a lot of times we get in our own way. But what about like classes like advanced science or advanced math or things like coding? Like, how would a parent be able to teach those courses to their children? If they're
First,
not familiar with those
yeah,
skills.
well, first of all, there's so many options out here available. I mean, if you Google, you're looking for a science class, where they can do dissections and stuff. They're there. Shout out to Miss Dissector D in Houston. There are places, there are people who are out here. I mean, there was a huge boom with when the pandemic happened, where a lot of teachers left the school system, and when they left the school system, now they're out there and they're ready to teach. So put it out there. Go on Nextdoor app, go on Facebook pages and stuff and find those people. Join these groups like, like your group, our group. I'm in your group too, but our group, and just say, hey, I'm looking for someone to help me to teach, to tutor my child in this particular thing. Um, you know, we we need to be able to use the internet for good, right? Some people use it for bad, but you can find just about anything you're looking for. You can find curriculum, you can find workbooks, you can find books. I mean, teachers pay teachers. Like there's so many things. If you need to, your child has a particular interest in certain things, that you can find. In the summer, there's all kind of camps for coding and robotics and different things. Homeschool is not limiting. It is very limitless. And so when you wanted, I mean, I even had a parent who was concerned about sports. You know, my child is into sports. If I homeschool, then maybe they won't get recognized, or maybe they not. There's tons of homeschool, sporting groups and stuff outside of the public school that your child can join. So there's nothing that holds you back but you, right? And fears. I mean, I just put it down. Don't walk in fear about any of it. Just step out in faith and trust and believe in your own ability, because you know your child better than anybody. You love your child better than anybody. So you're going to be the best teacher and the best influence for them.
I love that. So again, it goes out to reaching out into a community and using
Mhm.
resources like online Facebook groups and things like that to really get your
Absolutely.
needs that you don't have to figure it out on your own.
Right.
There's other
Right.
resources out there.
You
I
can't
love
do it by yourself. It takes a village. It takes a
that.
village. So that's
Big
the
one.
most important thing about all of this, I think, is the community. When you come to homegrown, you're home. We're a family. We all work together. And so I think that if we can get away from that individualistic mentality and really lean into each other and support each other and trust each other on this journey, it can be an amazing thing for you.
I love it. Powerful. So, this was amazing. I do want to open it up to questions. I know there were some family members that were eager to ask you and pick your brain
Yes.
for some more nuggets. So, I'm going to go back to the top and see. So, family, feel free to drop your questions that you have for our phenomenal Trey. And I'm going to go back up and see. Okay, you kind of talked about this a little bit when it came to your co-op, but one family member said, slightly off topic, I'm about to be a single mom. I'm divorcing. Any tips on how I can afford to homeschool and make money to support myself and children or kids?
I would definitely say, like I said before, there's plenty of free options online for teaching your children. There's all kind of free resources out there. You just have to really Google and look for it. I tell people all the time, don't run out and buy curriculum. Don't spend the money on $2,000 on curriculum that you may or may not ever use, but just kind of go for the free stuff first and just kind of pick the things that your child is interested in. Um, and then as far as, making money to support yourself, this is a time, people, where you can just really tap into what you're interested in and go for it. The internet, it has opened up in such a way that anything that you're interested in, and you can get somebody else interested in it too. And create a business. I mean, even if it's simple, when you're homeschooling, you have that freedom to be home and you can get your kids to be a part of it. If look up how to make candles or how to make soap or, whatever, and y'all work together, and that's a learning experience for your children. And then that's a business for you. You use the internet, the platform, for social media, and start selling that product, put your kid's name on that thing and their face on it, and make that money.
Absolutely.
Nothing's impossible. You can do it.
Yes, make it a team effort.
Yes.
Also, for family, I'll drop a link. I also have a special for you all. I have a book called Make That Money Honey. So it's like 20
Hey.
ways to make money online. And then I have 80 ways to make money from home in your PJs. So if you're interested, this is specifically for homeschoolers and homeschooler moms that need to make, some extra money or money, period. So we gotcha.
Send me that book, girl. I need it still.
I'll send you the link for
Yes.
sure. So let's see. We have another question from Rochelle. So, how do you manage distractions at home? My son loves video games and gets pretty addicted, so we had to limit his use.
It can happen, right? You're at home and the kids kind of get comfortable because they're at home, and you can get busy doing things, and while you're busy, they're doing, what they love to do and not getting. I just kind of very gently set a timeline. I don't, because we're, um, I guess, unschooled or more interest based. I don't put a lot of restrictions on my kids. I feel like they learn more when they're not as restricted. But I would say if you give them small pieces of time that they have to do what they need to do, my kids are required to give me those 2 hours of the day where they have to do. They're all on online programs now because they're in high school, but they have to give those 2 hours a day to their schooling, and they can break that up however they want to. If they want to do 30 minutes here and 30 minutes later or whatever, they have to give the 2 hours. But the rest of the time, if I give them freedom, and this is something that was a hard lesson for me, but once I learned it, it was such a big help. That if I used to have a problem. My kids are into K dramas and K-pop and even Sims 4 and different things like that, right? And so I would be like, "Oh my God, you're wasting so much time. You've been on the computer playing Sims 4 for hours, or you've been watching K dramas for hours, and you haven't read a book today or whatever." But then I had to stop one day because I was watching them. I sat and watched my daughter on Sims 4, and I sat and watched my other children watching a K drama. And what I realized is that she may not be picking up a physical book to read, but when she's watching a K drama, if you know anything about it, it's Korean drama, she has to read everything that they're saying. So she's
Mm,
reading. Not only is she
wow.
reading, but she's learning of another culture. She's learning the language. She's learning about Korea and their history. And so, again, I go back to, we have to get out of our mindset that it has to look a certain kind of way. When my daughter was sitting on Sims 4 for hours, she's learning math, she's learning construction, she's learning design, she's learning. I mean, there's so, if y'all have ever played Sims 4, because I play it too, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes to that. It's very intricate in building the buildings and creating these homes and these cities and things. And so when they're doing that, the mind is working. We may think that it's mindless and it's time, they're wasting time, but I promise you, sit down with them sometimes and see what it is that they're listening to. If your child likes video games, then try to find more video games that have a learning aspect to it. And then now they're learning in a fun way. And so it's not just a waste of time, but it's adding to your learning day.
Absolutely. That's something
Mhm.
that our children have recently when it comes to video games. I'm like, you love video games so much. Why don't we focus on like behind the scenes? So now they
Mhm.
really are interested in coding and like
Yeah,
how these video games are made and they can make their own, and create
absolutely.
their own apps. So it's just like
Absolutely.
these people are making all this money. Like, why not you?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Take that thing that interests them, that they spend all that time on, and tap into it and help and set that up. Like, start investigating and seeing how all that comes together. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
And make it other
Everything
lessons.
experience,
Yes.
everything.
So and then even study, like I love the business aspect. So I'm just like, oh, okay, you love this video game. So let's study like the business. Do they have stocks? Is this something that if
Yeah,
you're going to be spending so much time in it, you might as well own a piece of it?
right,
You
right,
know?
right.
Like, why not? So there's so many
Yeah.
different ways, like you said, not only they're learning so many lessons, but even behind the scenes, they can grow
Hmm.
it. So maybe this is a career area, and
Absolutely.
somehow, like your daughter may be like a Korean translator and
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
learn and an artist and all kind of
Yeah.
other things dealing with the culture
And
because it's
they
becoming
taught
so
themselves
global.
Korean. I didn't tell them to learn Korean, but
Wow.
because that was something they were interested in, they now sit up and speak in Korean and teach each other Korean, and they cook Korean dishes, and
I love
and
Korean
so it
food.
just became a whole thing for them. Whereas to me, when
Powerful.
I first saw it, I was like, this is silly. Y'all sitting up watching K dramas all day. You don't even know what these people are saying. And they were like, Mom, you're reading it. And I was like, wow, you're actually reading. Because she
Yeah.
doesn't like to read a book, right? She doesn't like to
Wow.
lay down and read a book, but she's reading every day when she's watching those.
That is powerful. I had one of my accountability partners who
Hmm.
actually got money was paid to move to Korea to teach English in Korea and have amazing experiences. So who knows what
Yeah,
doors can open up for them in the future
absolutely.
just from these
Absolutely.
interests. I love
Just get out
that.
the way and
Yeah,
let them and it's freeing, honestly, for the parent. It's freeing
yeah,
for the parent when you can kind of get out the way and you're not, because all of those restrictions we put on our kids, we're putting on ourselves too. And
absolutely.
so if you just kind of get out the way, I'm not saying just completely take your hands off and just let them
Right.
just go wild, but stop trying to just keep them in a box and make them, fit this standard, but sit back and just watch, what are they interested in? How are they applying their interest in, and like you said, have them seek it out, allow them to go deeper into what it is that they're interested in. Amazon boxes were showing up here all the time for my daughter, my oldest daughter, and now she's got stocks in Amazon,
I love it.
and so,
Yeah, you're spending the money, you might as well own it. Maybe
right?
even get some RETs for the Amazon
Absolutely.
warehouses, so stocks
Yes.
and real
She's
estate.
17 years old,
I
and
love
and
it.
that was something she sought out on her own to find out, hey, let me look into this stocks and see what their stocks are doing. Yeah.
Which is amazing because Amazon stocks are like, I think under like $200. So
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
stock. So that's, and it's just going up.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing investment. Very smart young ladies.
She is. I got some smart girls over
Yeah,
here.
yes, you do. So
Hmm.
someone's asking, I'm in Michigan. Do I need to send grades to the state or something? So I would say, I would just answer this really quick. Just Google
Hmm.
Michigan homeschool laws
Hmm.
and you can get the answers there or hslda.org, hslda.org, and click on Michigan and it'll give you all the details of what's necessary to homeschool in Michigan. Did you want
Yeah.
to add on to it?
Well, I was just gonna say every state is different, and so
Yeah,
you really have to kind of check your state. I'm in Texas, and this is the best state to be in for a
it is.
homeschooler.
Me too.
Hey, we don't have a lot of rules and regulations. I mean,
No.
so come to Texas and homeschool.
Yes. Let's see. I have a 4 and 5 year old who I want to teach. Do I teach them the same thing or different things? Did you want
For
to answer
me, I
that?
would say I have three children and they're all back to back. They're all 2 years apart. And so we did all of our learning together. I didn't separate them. Now, some things you may kind of have to add more or go a little more in detail as they get older. But if we were learning about, I don't know, what's the topic? If we were learning about the states
History.
or
Yeah.
whatever, then with my youngest one, it may just be her identifying the state on a map, where the oldest one may have to give me a little more detailed information on that or whatever. So you just kind of, I believe that learning together, that 4-year-old is not going to be on a 4-year-old level, because they're going to be learning, like my youngest child has learned far beyond where she's supposed to be on the level, because she's learned with her older sisters. She sits up and she's soaking in everything. So way before, she was going to public school, she knew so much more than she needed to know going into public school, just because of her sisters and her learning with them. Children are sponges and they just soak up everything. So you may have to adjust some stuff to accommodate that age limit. Like if she's, the 4-year-old may not be writing yet or reading yet. But you can still teach them the same things and then just create things for the 4-year-old to do who's not reading and writing, but can still point out or identify certain things.
Yes. There's just been some amazing comments. You're getting tons of love in the chat. She's like, so glad you said that, as my son wants to make his own game. We have invested in
Mhm.
coding learning games for him. Thank you.
Mhm.
And someone's saying, this is cool. That's so awesome, all that you're sharing. Someone was sharing a book called a great book about this discussion. It's
Yes.
called Homeschool
Yes.
Gone Wild,
Carla
Interest-Led
is a
Learning.
good reference for unschooling. Yes.
Yes,
And she also has one for teens as well.
yes. And then someone dropped the link. Yes, this
Hmm.
is a great link to find all things legal. So, oh, and look at this. Yay! And what are the odds that we
Yes.
are moving to Cyprus?
Look
And I
us up
think
when
Coach
you get
Carla is
here.
in Europe. So she'll be, yeah. So you'll be
Yeah.
able to connect with an amazing homeschool co-op. So,
Yes, and we
yeah.
actually just opened up registration at the end of May, and it closes at the end of July. And I will tell
Okay.
you, there is limited space.
On
So
it.
if you are interested in joining Homegrown, get on there today and sign up. Um, we're waitlisting some groups because every group is some of our younger groups are booked, but
Okay.
we do have some space left, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a powerful program. I have a third grader that reads at a
Yep.
sixth grade level. That's homeschooling.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because every child's different.
Yeah.
So, and it's really awesome to be able to cater to each child's needs. Like the way that you were able to get your daughter to read is through, the
Hmm.
Korean video games and the Korean shows she watches and all of that. So
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have a
yeah.
child who loves to bake. She loves to bake. She loves to cook.
Mm,
She doesn't necessarily like to sit down and read, but she'll read a cookbook. She'll read recipes. When she comes into the kitchen, we're doing math by, hey, take that recipe and double it or triple it or whatever. And so that's school, guys. That's school. That's math. It doesn't have to look like, how we were raised to do it. We do life math around here. We do
yes,
life
practical
skills
math.
around here,
Yeah.
practical, every day. I'm not going to tell you my age, but in all my life, I don't really use like a lot of the math that I had to learn in school, right? But what
Yes.
is the stuff that I try to figure out what their desires, their dreams are to be, and then we focus on that path. So, my daughter who loves to cook, everything is around cooking for her.
Mm,
Um, to better her, I find people who she can get up under, who she can study with, who she can apprenticeship under. That's how we do it. She found an amazing. We have a baker in our area, and she lets her work with her. She comes in and does things with her to learn what that really looks like. Not just baking, but the cleanliness of it all. She's got
sanitation is
her
so
yeah,
important.
she's got her food certification because she
Uh,
had the lady made her get it so that she would understand what it's like in the kitchen, um, the cleaning up behind it, how you make your money, how do you market your product, all of that kind of stuff comes from learning under people who are doing it.
mm,
So everything doesn't have to come from a book, but just put them in environments where they can learn from people who are actually doing it.
absolutely. I'm a strong believer in internships and mentorships and apprenticeships.
Hmm.
That's how we did it
Yes.
years ago, all the way
Yes.
back to the continent. We had,
Yeah.
people that who had an expertise, and we just, this is where we are. They have the results that we want, and we just follow the blueprint that they share with us.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's still like a major way to like shrink the timeline and have the success you desire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, my oldest child graduated early,
nice.
because it's like we're not going to waste time on all that little stuff. What do you want to do? Okay, let's learn all of these things. You got all the basics. You got all of that stuff that you have to know, right? The reading, the writing, the math. But now what we started doing is all her last classes were like business, economics, personal finance, all of those different things because she wants to be a graphic design and web designer. So
Mm,
how do you run your own business? How do you become your own boss? And then now she's creating her portfolio for her web design. She's taking web design classes online,
amazing.
and graphic design classes online. She's an amazing artist, so I put her in all kind of art stuff, and then you find out what they love. I have a nephew who's 10 years old, and he is all into planes. He's all about planes and piloting, and so my sister takes him to everything that has to do with planes, the museums and the air shows, and he can tell you about any plane out there.
Wow.
And he looks at the weather to determine, is it a good day for the plane to be flying. He's 10, and if she really just continues to cater to that, he can be an amazing pilot. He can have a pilot's license at 16. I think Carla, the unschooling mom, she talks about that in her book,
Yeah.
how her son was piloting planes early on, like between 10 and 16 years old. I think he got
Yeah.
his license.
Our
Yeah.
children started flying at 8. There's a program called, I think, the Golden
Hmm.
Eagles, where the children,
Hmm.
it's like a free program. They're exposed to it and they can start, getting their hours and learning
Yeah.
at as early as 8. So
Yeah.
there's some amazing programs out
Just
there.
creating the environment, getting
Yes.
them around the right people, creating that environment, and learning becomes so different and so much more interesting and so much more fun when
Yeah.
you can do it in different ways than what we've been taught to just sit in a classroom and listen to somebody lecture us and read books.
Right. With
Boring.
one ear and out the other.
Right.
Like, I don't retain very much of anything that I learned in the
Mm-mm.
classroom, but, like, my field trips and the hands-on
Absolutely.
experiences that I've
Hmm.
had, internships, I remember those, but just
Yeah.
sitting there lecturing, mm-mm.
I'm half asleep.
So, before we wrap this up, because 'cause we're almost at the top of the hour, are there
Mhm.
any last notes or anything you wanna share, like, with
Mhm.
anyone that's considering beginning this homeschooling process? Anything you would like to share with them?
Well, first, I would just like to say, trust yourself. You've got this, mom. You've got this, dad. Just if you're interested, if you want to do it, don't let anything hold you back. Just jump in there and do it. There's so many resources. There's so many people out here who have done it, who have succeeded, who have graduated, children who have gone on to be amazing in life. And so you can do it. Just do your research, and seek out your community. Again, our registration is open now. If you're wanting to register with us, go to our website, um, and reach out. If you have questions, join our Facebook page. And again, as I said earlier, everything we do is done through donations. So we need your support to continue to make this happen. If you will donate, we're sending our teens. So we have a thing running right now, support a teen to Costa Rica. So go to our website. You can donate right from there. It's tax deductible. You get tax write offs for it. Um, we need your help. So continue to support us, and we're here for the community.
Yes. Well, this was such a joy and honor to spend this time with you as you shared so much value, so many nuggets. Just wow, our minds are blown.
Thank you. Thank you so
It's
much.
been
I
really
appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. So, family, don't forget to go to www.homegrowneveryday.com so that you can find out more about Trey's program, to be able to support some amazing families, leave some donations. Again, it's a tax write off. Also,
Mhm.
stick around because I have a free book for you so that I'm going to share with you shortly on the A to Z's of getting started with homeschooling or leveling up. Okay, so until next time, have a
Thank you so
phenomenal rest
much.
of your day.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.